Shalom guys, welcome back to another episode here at TZAV Ministry with Casa de Israel Yarah. Thank you again for being here. If you like the content that we have on our channel, like I always say, please like, subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, put them on the comment section down below. With that being said, let's get started with this week's Torah portion. So this week's Torah portion is TZAV or TZAV, and so it means command. So here he was commanding Moses and the sons of Aaron and Aaron the priest on how to officiate the sacrifice. Now, simple question that we're trying to answer is why sacrifices? And so we understood last week that these sacrifices like the olah, like the burnt offering, or the mincha, or the chata'ah, and the asham, the shelamim, all these offerings were either for thanksgiving, for gratitude, or for unintentional sin and guilt offerings. And so Elohim was trying to either purify or forgive the sins of the offenders, or they were able to approach Elohim and be thankful for Elohim's service or for Elohim's protection and Elohim's guidance. All right, and so they were able to bring the burnt offering, which was supposed to be burnt completely on the altar, or the grain offering, which would be anything that was unleavened bread. This week we see how the priests were supposed to officiate during these sacrifices, right? So last week it was mostly focused on us, meaning that the cattle or the sheep or the grain offering or the bird that we brought represented us in front of Elohim. And what the sacrifice did, the sacrifice draw us near to Elohim, and it draw Elohim near us. When we put our hand on that sacrifice represented us. Now, this week's Torah portion tells us the laws that were implemented for the priests to officiate these sacrifices. It starts off like this. Tzav et Echaron wa et bana lemo sot Torah ha'olah hi ha'olah al michada al chamitzbecha chala yala ad chabocher wa esh chamitzbecha hukad bo. And in English, it says the following. It says, and the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, command Aaron and his sons, saying, this is the law of the burnt offering. The burnt offering shall be burned on the hearth on the altar all night until morning. And the fire of the altar shall be kept burning on it. And the priest shall put on the linen garments and put his linen on the garments on his body, and it shall take up ashes which the fire has reduced the burnt offering on the altar and put it beside the altar. Then he shall take off his garments and put other garments to carry the ashes outside the camp, right, to a clean place. The fire on the altar shall be kept burning on it, and it shall not go out. The priest shall burn wood on it every morning, and it shall arrange the burnt offering on it, and it shall burn on it the fat and peace offering. Fire shall be kept burning on the altar continually, it shall not go out. So we see here that the importance of the altar and the burnt offering. The burnt offering basically kept the altar fire burning for the sacrificial system. Now, it's interesting that the priests were to not only carry the ashes, but they had to remove those garments, and then they had to put new garments and take out the ashes to a clean place. So it wasn't like they just threw away the ashes that were burnt on the altar, because the ashes that were burnt on the altar were sacred, were holy, and so they were commanded to be dropped in a specific, special place. Now, the mincha offering, which we'll see in this Torah portion, it explains that the priests will offer their share of the mincha, and then the portion with the frankincense will be burned, and then another portion that is left will be for the priest. And it says that is a hukah or mincha offering that the priest will offer. They will take their share of it. We will see that on verse 14, if I'm not mistaken. The sons of Aaron shall offer it before the Lord in front of the altar, and one shall take from it a handful of fine flour of the grain offering, and its oil and its frankincense that is in the grain offering, and burn this as its memorial portion on the altar, a pleasing aroma to the Lord. with leaven, and have given it as their portion of my food offering. It is a thing most holy, like the sin offering and the guilt offering. Every male among the children of Aaron may eat it. Is a decree forever throughout your generations. From the Lord's food offerings, whatever touches them shall become holy. Here it makes it a decree forever, meaning that this offering, the sons of Aaron were able to forever take from it as long as a tabernacle or a temple was built. Right? So it's very important, because when the word decree or forever comes into play, we have to understand that Elohim doesn't change. So if today a temple was built, approved by Elohim, of course, Aaron's sons and lineage will have the authority to officiate this sacrifice or this offering. Okay? Now, the importance of this chapter, which is chapter 6 and 7, right, is how the sacrifices impacted the priest. Because last week we saw how it impacted us and how it represented us and how we connected with Elohim. Now, Elohim is trying to not only give Aaron's and his lineage the responsibility that they need to be accounted for to officiate these sacrifices and these offerings, but it also shows the portion that they have. This Torah portion is very, 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 very vast in detail, right? It's very profound, right? It talks about karetz, being cut off of the people for sin, all right? It talks about sanctum contagion, meaning that your sins contaminate the sanctuary. Whenever you sin and you commit a willful sin or a unwillful sin, it contaminates the temple and it contaminates the sanctum. It contaminates Elohim's name and image, right? Because if you go around saying that you believe in the God of Israel but you sin, then you are contaminating his image, right? Because you are supposed to be an image of Elohim in the world, right? So this week we see how the priests were supposed to officiate these sacrifices that we saw last week, and how they especially had a portion of it. Now, what I want to focus on this week is on the Seva Shalami, okay, which is the Todah offering, or the thankful offering, right? And is on chapter 7, verse 11 to 34. Right, so this is the sacrifice for the peace offering, right? And so I want to focus on this sacrifice because it demonstrates the whole picture of what the sacrificial system represents, and what we can take out of this year's TZAV or TZAV Torah portion. Okay, it's gonna be short, to the point, but I want you guys to understand, right, the sacrificial system in the simplest form, what it represents. Okay, and so it says here, verse 11, chapter 7, verse 11. It says, "And this is the law of the sacrifice of the peace offering, that one may offer to the Lord. If he offers it for thanksgiving, then he shall offer the thanksgiving sacrifice unleavened loaves mixed with oil, unleavened wafers smeared with oil, and loaves of fine flour will mix with oil. With the sacrifice of his peace offering for thanksgiving, he shall bring his offering with loaves of leavened bread, and from it he shall offer one loaf from each offering, as a gift to the Lord. And it shall belong to the priest who throws the blood of the peace offerings, and the flesh of the sacrifice and his peace offering for thanksgiving shall be eaten on the day of his offering. He shall not leave any of it until morning, but if the sacrifice of this offering is a vow offering or a free will offering, it shall be eaten on the day that he offers his sacrifice, and on the next day what remains shall be eaten. But what remains of the flesh of the sacrifice on the third day shall be burned up with fire. If any of the flesh of the sacrifice of peace offering is eaten on the third day, he who offers it shall not be accepted, neither it shall be credited to him. It taints, and he who eats of it shall bear iniquity. Right? Flesh that touches any unclean thing shall not be eaten, and it shall be burned with fire. All who are clean may eat flesh, but the person who eats the flesh of the sacrifice of the Lord's peace offering, while uncleanness is on him, that person shall be cut off from his people. And if anyone touches an unclean thing, whether human uncleanness or any unclean beast or any unclean detestable creature, and then eats from the flesh, from the sacrifice of the Lord, peace offering, that person shall be cut off from his people. This peace offering was meant to be eaten by the priest that officiated it. It was a step to get closer to Elohim, and then the offerer will eat a piece of the sacrifice, right? So now the Seva Shelamim or the Shelamim offering was not the holiest offering, but it represents what the kingdom is all about in a sense, right? We are a body, we are a unit, we are one, right? We call ourselves the body of Messiah, we call ourselves a nation, right? And so this sacrifice basically communicated to us that yes, Elohim wants us to give ourselves completely to him, but that we also have to think about those that officiate for us. And at the same time, Elohim wants us to enjoy those things that we work so hard for, right? This offering was brought to Elohim voluntarily, being thankful, and Elohim said, I'll take my piece which will be burned on the altar, and you will eat your piece with the priesthood which officiated for you, right? And you will be able to have a covenantal meal to honor me and represent me, saying that I, as a Elohim, as a God, have no partiality. That me, as a Elohim, I'm not so worried about me eating. I'm worried about you guys eating and understanding that I provide for you and that I want you to rejoice in what I have given you, right? The Seva Shelamim was a thanksgiving offering, a meal offering, a covenantal meal offering, that priest that officiated could partake in it, and that priest who represented you in front of Elohim could sit down at a table and eat. The sacrificial system is this, whether it was for the Olah offering, which will burn completely voluntarily, which was the mincha, which the priest took a portion of it, which was the shelamim, which the priest took a portion of it, the sin offering, the priest took a portion of it, the one that officiated, right? These sacrifices draw you near to Elohim and provided for those that officiated. Now, this might not be the most deep spiritual revelation that you might have today for this Shabbat in this small clip that I'm bringing to you guys. But understand something. Drawing near to Elohim is not just being a perfect person that serves God all the time perfectly. It's understanding that you have a function and that you cannot get so caught up on what you're doing for yourself. You have to understand that we are a body and that we have to support one another. And so the more that we support one another, the more that the body is able to grow stronger, and together we can represent Elohim better, right? We are a unit, and everything that we do together will honor Elohim and bring honor to his name, right? The Seva Shelamim was a thankful offering, an offering that will be eaten by everybody. And also, you can show your thankfulness to Elohim in that covenantal meal, in that unity that this meal represented. So remember, sacrifices represent you, who you are. You gotta make sure that you're apt to bring this sacrifice, and understand that the sacrifices were not just bloody sacrifices that were shed of blood and altars and evil. It was a way to draw near God and provide for those that offered and that officiated for you. So I hope that this small teaching for this week helps you guys, and I hope that you guys prepare for Passover, and that you guys have a great week. Shavuot Tov and Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.